the biggest opportunity we've had in decades to make this country work for working people. Across the world, countries are already gearing up to meet this challenge. We cannot afford to miss out, because some nation is going to lead the world in offshore wind. Why not this one? Some nation will win the race for electric vehicles. Why not us? Some nation will be the first to harness new hydrogen power. Why not Britain? We've seen two sides of Britain in the last few weeks. On one side, a nation united by a profound purpose to pay its respects to a remarkable sovereign. And that queue, 5 miles at its peak, even in death, our Queen found a unique way to capture the British spirit. But conference, the other side of Britain, never went away. A Britain all at sea, where a cloud of anxiety hangs over working people. At moments of uncertainty like this, we must provide clear leadership. We must stand with working people, meet their ambitions for real change, walk towards a better future, and build a new Britain together. A Britain that is fairer, greener, more dynamic, and that isn't afraid to use the power of government to help working people succeed. Because we can't go on like this. What we've seen in the past few days has no precedent. The government has lost control of the British economy. And for what? They've crashed the pound. And for what? Higher interest rates, higher inflation, higher borrowing. And for what? Not for you, not for working people, for tax cuts for the richest 1% in our society. Don't forget, don't forgive. The only way to stop this is with a Labour government. They used to lecture us about fixing the roof when the sun was shining. But take a look around Britain. They haven't just failed to fix the roof. They've ripped out the foundations, smashed through the windows, and now they've blown the doors off for good measure. Conference. My government will be different. We will run towards the challenges of tomorrow. We will get us out of this endless cycle of crisis. And we will do it with a fresh start, a new set of priorities, and a new way of governing. But it won't be easy. And the first step must be to tackle the cost of living crisis. Now, the Prime Minister has finally accepted there's no alternative to Labour's plan to freeze energy prices. When she was arguing against handouts, Labour provided the clarity our nation needed. We said this winter, not a penny more on anyone's bills. But politics is about choices. And the choice, the political choice, is who pays. Working people or the oil and gas companies making huge profits from higher prices. The head of BP has said that this crisis is a cash machine for his company. But that's a cash machine fed by working people. So our choice, the only choice, the Labour choice, is to put those profits to work. This party is always on the side of working people in times of crisis. And my mum worked in the NHS. My sister worked in the NHS. My wife still works in the NHS. The NHS runs through our family like a stick of rock. But I tell you what, I'm really worried about how many lives are at risk this winter. Talking to doctors in my local hospital, I said, the NHS is on its knees, isn't it? And they said, No, Keir. It's face down on the floor. And the pathetic response of the government last week left it there. The way to get it back to its feet is with a stronger NHS workforce. That is the main barrier to capacity right now, staff. So as Rachel announced yesterday, we will take on an extra 7,500 medical students every year. We will double the number of district nurses. 5,000 new health visitors, 10,000 extra nursing placements. And I'll ask you something. Conference. I'll tell you this, if it's a choice between a tax cut for those earning hundreds of thousands of pounds or supporting our NHS, that's not a hard choice for us. Labour will always deliver for our NHS. We won't make the mistake the Tories made with North Sea oil and gas back in the 1980s, when they frittered away the wealth from our national resources. Just look at what's happening at the moment. The largest onshore wind farm in Wales. Who owns it? Sweden. Energy bills in Swansea are paying for schools and hospitals in Stockholm. The Chinese Communist Party has a stake in our nuclear industry. And 5 million people in Britain pay their bills to an energy company owned by France. So we will set up Great British Energy within the first year of a Labour government. A new company. A new company. Conference, a new company that takes advantage of the opportunities in clean British power. And because it is right for jobs, because it is right for growth, because it is right for energy independence from tyrants like Putin, then yes, Conference, Great British Energy will be publicly owned. Conference, none of this will be easy. It's not like flicking a switch. It will mean tough battles on issues like planning and regulation. But when the Tories naysay and carp, remember this. The road to net zero is no longer one of stern, austere self-denial. It's at the heart of modern 21st century aspiration. Technology has turned everything on its head. Green and growth don't just go together. They're inseparable. The future wealth of this country is in our air, in our seas, in our skies. Britain should harness that wealth and share it with all. British power to the British people. That's why I've always said we will fight the Tories on economic growth. Their record is appalling. The worst decade of growth in 2 centuries. Or, as the Chancellor puts it, a vicious cycle of stagnation. Now, I have to say, as a former prosecutor, it always warms my heart when somebody caught bang to rights pleads guilty at the first opportunity. And after 12 years, what's their big idea? Unlimited bonuses for bankers. Back the billionaires. Go easy on the oil and gas companies. It's a nonsense. Everyone earning less than £155,000 a year loses out with their plan. And they say they don't believe in redistribution, but they do, from the poor to the rich. And they're loading up the country with debt to pay for it. We'll set a new target, 70% home ownership, and we will meet it with a new set of political choices, a Labour set of political choices. No more buy-to-let landlords or second homeowners getting in first. We will back working people's aspirations. Help first-time buyers onto the ladder with a new mortgage guarantee scheme. Reform planning so speculators can't stop communities getting shovels in the ground. My message is this. If you're grafting every hour to buy your own home, Labour is on your side. Labour is the party of home ownership in Britain today. And let me say something about business too. Don't be fooled into thinking that they buy into the Tory trickle-down fantasy. Business leaders aren't knocking on my door saying they want to rip up employee rights. They don't tell me that the problems they face will be solved by corporation tax cuts. They want fair taxes, high skills, and the long-term confidence to invest. I want to be crystal clear about this. I'm not just pro-business. I want to partner with business. So we will scrap business rates, level the playing field for start-ups and the high street, give employers new flexibility to invest in world-class training they need. And as Johnny Reynolds said, invite them to drive forward our modern industrial strategy, a true partnership between government, businesses and trade unions.